The tide of populism rises. I want to talk today about what populism is. Welcome to Law and Society. Please subscribe and let's get down to it. So, populism is described as a political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups. So, this idea that Donald Trump and MAGA have at the core of their party's belief system is that whatever is happening with Washington elites or the media elites is fake news or is detrimental to our democracy. That is the uh, baselessly, the fact that it's a lie that is the grievance around which the MAGA movement is created. The populism that comes in the MAGA movement comes in the forms of Donald's lies and in the form of him being a convicted felon, somebody who really, if you look at his first term, didn't do what people would conceive to be populist. He gave the richest people tax cuts, and he had a Muslim ban, which is a prohibitive law, which is not expansive, which is not embracing. The tax cuts to the ultra rich were not something that was populist because it didn't really. We know now that trickle down economics, first of all, doesn't work. And secondly, it has only created, as we have seen in the last 8 years, a higher income disparity where a smaller and smaller amount of people can afford more and more things, whereas a larger and larger amount of people cannot afford the basic things. Like, after, what kind of economy are we a part of right now? Many economists would say it'd be a K-shaped economy after the COVID crash, because we have record number of billionaires and multimillionaires, but we also have record number of poverty and hunger in the United States and all around the world. So MAGA's populism is is based on Donald Trump's failed record as a populist and his lies that have inundated Americans for for now over 10 years, nearly 10 years, 2015 to 2024, 9 years. And the same sort of grievance ridden politics, the rhetoric that has caused this to become a movement, is based on a house of lies. So we're going to see how that movement, that sort of a populist movement, turns out to be. But I want to sort of distinguish MAGA from a historical, uh, real populist movement, which I call altruistic populism, versus what we see in Donald Trump, which is veneer populism. And that is the movement that Mahatma Gandhi, the man who freed India from the grips of the largest colonial empire in world history before the American Empire, which was the British Empire. And the core of that movement is a nonviolent resistance movement that involves holding firmly to the truth. So, off the bat, it's antithetical to the basis of MAGA. The term was coined by Mahatma Gandhi in 1919. Satyagraha in Sanskrit combines the word satya, which is truth, and agraha, which is to adhere to. Gandhi describes Satyagraha as firmness in a good cause and the relentless pursuit of the truth with the method of nonviolent action. So, how did Gandhi, what was one of it? I'll give you an example. It's a short history lesson, world history lesson. So, the British would take the raw materials, cottons, and they would take the basic materials from India. They would grow it. They would take it to England, They would have it turned to fabric. They would bring it back, sell it at a higher cost to Indians, and tax on that. So that's how it depleted the Indian economy. And that's why India was a colony, and that's why it wasn't, part of the British Empire in the sense of as an equal. So what the Satyagraha movement, part of it, what Gandhi did was he refused to use foreign-made fabrics and clothes, and in that sense, he has this, this very simple spinning wheel of cotton that's a symbol of Gandhi that people use to this day as sort of the taking the power back from an overarching oppressive tyrannical government that is as simple as not letting them take our money after having taken our resources. So, I mean, of course, it doesn't directly translate into how we are forming any sort of resistance against the MAGA movement. But what I'm here to tell you is that both the movements work, but veneer populism only works in the short term, while true altruistic populism endures the test of time. We know who Gandhi is to this day because he's a father of a nation who just walked and spun his wheel and spoke and related to the people and went out and touched people and talked to people on a daily basis, to the point where when Gandhi decided to have a hunger strike, the entire nation, the entire country went into a shock and some went into hunger strike. There was this violence, this sectarian violence between Hindus and Muslims that was incited by the British government, and Gandhi went into a hunger strike, and that caused the violence to stop. That was the power of his truth movement. Not the Make America Great movement and Truth Social, which upended the meaning of truth, but a truth movement, a real populist movement. Donald's populism is a veneer that hides as fascism. So we'll see soon enough how fascist that is. Real service leadership is what is lacking in our country. Democrats need an altruistic populist leader. That may be more difficult to find in the field of ambitions than we think. And field of ambitions is part of the reason why we are now having a hard time holding on to House majority and Senate majority. And that is got to do with the personal interests of those who devote their time to public service. You have to think about that. All the way to the people who are in office, who stay in office for 40 years, to the ones who exploit their time in office. The bigger question is, do we even deserve an altruistic leader? Biden came close to it. He had his ambitions, and many are arguing that he should have dropped out of the race earlier, and I'm not going to go into that sort of a blame game. But he was an altruistic leader who got done more in his first 2 years than most presidents do in their whole term. But he didn't fare well. His own party didn't support his second term, despite all he did. So maybe we don't deserve an altruistic leader. Maybe we deserve a fascist, selfish one. Maybe we deserve to have our rights taken away from us. Maybe humanity can only learn basic truths the hard way. Is that what we have to go through? Because the Democrats have failed to look at the bigger picture through the eyes of the grassroots. Establishment uses the grassroots, but we never hear from them. Donald did that better than Harris did, even with his mental decline. The establishment has to change. And whether Donald truly adheres to or not, his movement is anti-establishment. The fringes have to be brought to the forefront. We made fun of Donald Trump taking in foreign, not just foreign, but that was a Freudian slip, that was appropriate. but fringe groups, bringing them closer. But that is not, the argument on the left is we need to be more moderate. Why? Because they're going far right, so the country effectively net moves to the right. We don't need that sort of a fear-driven movement to the right in the country. We need to bring the fringes in and put them in the forefront. An identity has to be built of what our vision of America is. To think from the places of everyday voter who could only donate $1 or two, but kept doing their best to energize others to get out and vote. A lot of talk has been given to the middle class, but what about the poor? Our votes count as well. Celebrities don't really move the needle. We've learned that in the last two elections where the Democrats lost. They have a big presence, but their political influence is limited. And by the way, they only have one vote. They may be big, but they only have one vote. But instead, town halls and constant interviews and public service events are more relatable. Whether they're real or not, Donald Trump's Mar-a-Lago public presence accrued a huge amount of impact. He was accessible to the people, not just standing in a picket line for a day, and I'm not discounting that, the symbol of that, but having dinner with his supporters virtually every night for the last 4 years. That has an impact, a populist impact, even if it is cordoned off with a red velvet cord and he has Secret Service surrounding him. He's there. That is palpable. The flip side of it, what Democrats did was Obama going out and scolding and demeaning the public for not voting a certain way. That's not how you get votes. It backfires more than firing up voters. Don't tell us what to do. Convince us why we should vote for your candidate. So, where do we begin to rebuild? We focus on service leadership. We lift up community leaders who are the real change agents in their communities. We emphasize the importance of service organizations like AmeriCorps, Teach for America, and AmeriCorps, and encourage people to go into those services for 2 years. The movement that will win the next election is the one that learns and grows. Donald Trump gave the country a movement, Make America Great Again. What that means will present itself in the next 4 years. The counter movement should be one that preserves the American value of seeking a more perfect union, beyond great, equal, merit-based, service-driven. That is how we will see the bigger picture. And very likely, we still don't know the name of the person who is going to lead this movement. But that is the movement, I believe, is the winning movement versus MAGA, which is based on lies. Let our movement be based on truth, and that truth be based on nonviolent, productive, socially productive action, and lifting up the people who quietly for years and years and years are community leaders who strengthen their communities and who go above and beyond, whether that be a teacher who has gotten the Golden Apple Award too many times to not be noticed nationally, or whether that be the community leader who has groups at the YMCA for families, for children whose families have to work and there is nobody home to take care of those kids. Those leaders, those service leaders, leaders who go out and teach far farmland, rural areas where there is a lack of teachers, or go out to rural areas to be able to outreach on them on the basis of public health. Those people, raise them up. We need to bring a movement that is in many ways anti-establishment to the political elites that have been perceived in some ways correctly by the far right. But what their solution is to just put their candidates in and maintain that same sort of elitist environment and an environment of corruption that that you know that sort of bows down to autocracy and oligarchy and lobbying and special interest groups, because that's what they are. But a popular movement, something similar to what Bernie Sanders started and was building up. I was a Bernie voter, and I voted for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden has been an exceptionally progressive centrist, if you were to consider him a centrist. But I believe that Joe Biden has been an altruistic leader. And maybe the time has come for us to realize that only the hard way of going through the next 4 years is going to teach us what a real leader means. And I hope that Democrats find that leader. With that said, thank you so much for listening to me. Please like and subscribe, and I'll talk to you soon.